Jim, this question for the late night drive-thru comes from Rob. Hi, Jim.
Hello, Rob.
Do you have a strong opinion one way or the other regarding the authenticity of Shawn Michaels' back injury prior to his match with Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14? Given Michaels' history of timely injuries that allowed him to vacate titles rather than lose them and elevate others, it may stand to reason that this was yet another example of his self-centered behavior. Granted, Michaels ultimately went through with the match, and the rest is history, but the match itself was terrible. Michaels appeared to be in obvious pain, but part of me wonders if this wasn't an intentional thing to either A, avert a loss, or B, undercut the historic run of Steve Austin. What are your thoughts?
Or possibly C, you might have left off, convince people that his back is really hurt so that Vince will continue paying him even though that he's going home for the next 3 years. But you're besmirching the character, sir. Besmirching the character of one of the finest in-ring performers of our generation, thinking that he would do such a thing, thinking that somehow the guy who's universally acknowledged as being the best in-ring seller in wrestling would have a match where he was continually selling his back in a very realistic way, simply to give the impression that he had a career-ending back injury so he could drop the title, go home, and get paid by Vince McMahon until WCW folded up. And once there was no legitimate competition that he could unretire and go to, that Vince stopped paying him. And shortly thereafter, that career-ending back injury was healed, and he came back to the ring and was every bit the performer that he once was. And you say this was some type of a work, sir? I don't know what to say to you.
Well, a few questions obviously have to be asked here, Jim. I guess to this specific injury, this back injury, which I believe happened in a casket match with The Undertaker.
Yeah, he took the bump over the top rope, and you see him, he goes over and he hits the casket with his back and he goes off of it, and that allegedly led to the issues.
What was going on backstage after that match? Did he come back and immediately complain?
Fuck, I don't remember. I mean, if I was following my normal MO, I'd got the fuck out of there by that point, or tried to. But you know what? Once again, who knows? He came back and complained so much about anything. And I don't actually remember. We ought to go back and do the research. Did he take off the next night or the night after that? Or was there any effort to limit his activities? Or did this, did he work with it and then suddenly started bothering him later on? Or what? We should do some research on that.
When it comes to his reputation for not dropping titles, it happened several times before you went full-time to the WWF. I think the one where after he got jumped, he just handed it to Dean Douglas.
Yeah, handed it over. And then he lost his smile that time when he had that career-ending knee injury. He didn't work for almost 2 weeks after that one.
What were people saying, amongst the executives and the people you were working with behind the scenes there? Did he already have that reputation as a guy who just wasn't going to drop the title?
What were they saying? Bullshit. Hold on one second. Bullshit. I don't remember what they were saying. No, everybody thought, it was what nobody was surprised. Everybody thought they saw what was going on. We're pretty sure what was going on. And it was being put up with.
And then with this match, the Steve Austin match, which from WrestleMania 14 launched Steve Austin to that next level, what was going on behind the scenes there? We've all heard stories of The Undertaker taping up his fist just to intimidate Shawn Michaels, but were there whispers? Were people talking about Shawn Michaels potentially doing something to not drop the title or to screw over Steve Austin?
Well, yeah, all weekend he had been, and that was in Boston, and I was miserable being up there anyway. The first night they put us in that downtown hotel with no air conditioning during an 80-degree heat wave. I had to pay $50 a night more to move across the street to the new hotel with air conditioning. But all weekend, first he wasn't going to come, then he came late, then he had to stay somewhere else besides where everybody else was. I think he brought a bodyguard. Michaels did because I don't know whether it was just he was fucking with Vince's head or whether he was on some type of chemicals that made him paranoid and even screwier than usual. But there was drama of some kind all weekend that I barely remember and chose to stay away from as much as possible. But I did see And there was no promos cut or everybody, advertising of anything or whatever. But when Shawn Michaels got in the ring with Steve Austin and Mike Tyson was the referee, there was still enough doubt in some people's mind that he was either going to do the right thing or do it the right way that Undertaker did walk up to the gorilla position and sit down at the monitor, and he had his fist taped up. And that is the place that anybody leaving the ring was going to have to come to go to their dressing room or leave the building or anywhere else. And as soon as everything happened the right way, Mark stood up and started untaping his fucking fists and walked off. What that tells you is open to interpretation again. I think there was a lot of relief that they just got the fucking thing off the guy and got him the fuck out of there at that point from anybody except his own little clique circle of friends.
Even Vince?
Probably after that weekend, if not before, because he always liked the fella. But after that weekend, I'd say even Vince was glad to get fucking all that done and over with.